Welcome, everyone, to the Relentless Undead Podcast. I'm your host, Robert, and today I'm joined by Tammy,
Hello.
and only Tammy, and we are going to be talking about finding our religion. Now, I know everyone just probably signed off immediately from this, which is fun. If you're not into that kind of talk, that's perfectly all right. Me and Tammy just want to talk about it because we feel like sometimes other people have the same feelings. So, yeah, if you're still sticking around, me and Tammy are now Norse pagans. Occasionally, I'm going to blow myself out here, and you're going to hear me echoes. That's because Tammy's in the same room as me. Uh, and yeah,
Hey.
her mic sometimes doesn't pick her up, but it picks me up like I am right next to her. We're trying to fix that, but we're also trying to use Discord to start doing these podcasts so that way we can get other people in. This week it was because it's about our religion or us finding the religion, not personally our religion. We're not the only members in it, and I didn't found it. But anyway, moving on. So I think for me, at the very least, I had always, since I can remember at least, always believed in a multi god system to begin with. I always felt like one god could not have done everything. Does that kind of make sense to anyone else besides me?
And me, of course.
So, due to that, I had always had that feeling that I wasn't really uh, up for, or I guess down with Christianity or any of those other religions that deal with one God. So I was very much like that for most of my, like I said, as far back as I can remember. And then me and Tammy started dating, and Tammy wasn't really religious at all. And I guess I kind of went with the idea that I was an atheist. I'm guessing you kind of went with the same, but we'll get to you afterwards, Tams. And then when me and Tammy started um, going more into it and stuff like that, I don't even know why I suggested it. It was just something that Tammy was not really struggling with, but just I could see Tammy kind of wanting something, and I kind of started talking to her about religion and stuff like that, and she kind of brought some stuff up, and then I kind of suggested, well, why don't we find you a actual religion then, if you want one? And she kind of was like, okay, sure, but she was also really hesitant because again, thinking in a way that most people do is I'm suggesting Christianity or something like that, and she's like, I'm not sure I'm really down with that. I'm like, it's fine. We'll think about stuff and go with things. And then I was like, well, I know that you really like the Norse religion and the Greek religion. And she's like, yeah. And then she's thinking about it for a bit. And she's like, I really if I had to actually sit down, think about it, and actually be part of one of the religions, I honestly think I would prefer Norse. I like the way that they are, and Tammy can tell you her story more. And I was like, okay, I actually agree with you. And that kind of just we started working towards that. It's been interesting and difficult because the concept of trying to find information about the practices of the Norse religion can be quite difficult. We have I think 3 or 4 books. I have to read them all again. I've only read the one, but I have to read the other two and just kind of get more understanding of what we are more or less trying to do. But yeah, Tammy, now you can tell your story.
So for me, I found what really draws me into things is if I can find stories. So I'm really into stories, and that's how I kind of got into the Greek part of Greek myths and stuff. And what ended up happening for me was I expanded that. So like I started learning about other types of stories, and then I learned some Norse stories that I thought were really funny and really bringing me down to earth in regards to like I don't have to be a perfect being. Like even these gods made mistakes, or they didn't make the right decision, that kind of thing. So the stories definitely helped ground me as a person. And then we were talking about, I didn't really know a whole lot about the Greek religion in like what that would be all consider with the myths and the stories. But then we kind of were like, well, we watched some shows about Viking stuff. We ended up doing some research on it. We found some things that kind of resonated with us, such as do whatever you want, just as long as it doesn't hurt other people or animals or things.
I,
And like without consent, of course. Like you want to have consent.
I just want to state this for the record
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people are going, what do you talk about? Vikings were not like that at all. They were warmongers. There are actually lots of different types of stories out there. Some of them actually are more towards the concept that, as some people have seen, is that if you were another person, like you had to like get consent. Like there was a lot of like stuff like that. But I think a lot of that also boils down to how me and Tammy end this whole story, which is the concept that we are more towards the I'm hoping I'm saying this right. I'm really bad with words to begin with. And on top of that, it's speaking a different language theoretically, but the veneer,
Yeah.
they are there's because in Norse paganism there are theoretically Odin, um
Acers.
yeah, the Aesers, the Odin, Thor, Frigga, the Aesers. Then you got the veneer, which are like Freya and Frey. And I don't know, and that's the hard part about a lot of the religion too, is that I was reading some stuff, and apparently there were the amount of gods that we know today, there was about 10 times as many back in the day. And it was just, it's all lost. But we more go towards the veneer, which for everything I can kind of read about them, because they're from Finland. From what I can also read, maybe I'm wrong. Like, you can try if you want to have a discussion about this with us in the description below. Just be very respectful. Don't be rude. Don't like I could be wrong, and I'm accepting I'm wrong, but just don't be rude about it. It's one of the biggest things. Like I said, it's really hard to find information. So a lot of this I had to piece together from little bits of here, little bits here. But anyway, the veneer, from what I can tell, are more the Finland gods. And when the whole Scandinavian thing went together, they basically merged both religions together to prevent fighting and wars and all that stuff. And that the veneers are more towards the idea where it's like sue for, like, try to be diplomatic, try to not go to war, but if you have to go to war, go to war. And it's something that I actually, like, when I was growing up, I didn't, like I said, didn't have a religion, so a lot of my being and my thought process was do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. If you want to, basically have like one of the other things was like a unprotected sex with, because again, being at the age I was like between 16 and 22ish when I was really working this out, but it was like if you want to have unprotected sex with your girlfriend, go for it. Like, because there's always the concept, but you always have to wear a condom. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, that and you're both consenting adults, go ahead. You want to get a tattoo, go ahead. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, why does it matter? Like, don't let others judge you on the things that you're doing, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. So, like, that also goes to the concept of, like, don't beat up children, don't hurt animals, shit like that. So,
Yeah.
it's still all in there. But like I said, so when we started looking this up and we started kind of like, figuring things out, it feels to us like the veneer kind of have that concept where it's like they don't want to go to war. They'd rather try talking it out. They'd rather try being diplomatic and working on the solution and up to the problem. But if that doesn't work, they will throw down just like the rest of them. And I really do think that that's kind of like the mentality I liked and how I wanted to keep going. And we actually are, out of all the Norse pagan gods, Freya is actually the one we go towards the most. Because me and Tammy were thinking about it, and I don't know if I thought about it first, and then I brought it up with her, and she agreed, which is the concept that when we go to the afterlife, Valhalla in this extent, everyone talks about Valhalla as the longhouse, the party, the endless war. If you don't know what that kind of, if you're not a Norse pagan and don't have a clue what I'm talking about, the idea is the fact that the party, at the end of your life, you go to this giant party. And it's basically you constantly are drinking, constantly are having a party, and then at the end of then you go to sleep. And you wake up the next day and then go to war. And you fight all these other people. And then at the end of the day, you go back to the longhouse with the same people you were just fighting with. You all drink and party and have fun. And that is what the afterlife for Norse pagans is. Kind of. And I say that kind of, the way that I say that is because then the next breath in that is if you are a coward. Someone who didn't, that's, a coward, basically. There's lots of different ways that you could state what a coward is. But someone who wasn't great in life and was awful in life, you go to one of two places. Either if you are a coward who basically who gives up, doesn't actually go to war, doesn't do any of that stuff, and, will be suppressed easily, you become a servant in the longhouse where you must every day serve those warriors who are better than you. If you're a evil man who's not easily suppressed, you go to hell.
Yeah. To Hela and her realm of Helheim?
Yeah. All right. I think this is what it is.
I think Helheim.
Then there is another group of people, though, which is the other Valhalla, which no one really talks about. But it's the fields of Valhalla. It's where me and Tammy would like to go. As far as we can understand it, it's still in Valhalla. It's still for good people who, didn't give up on war, but they don't want to actually go to war. They'll fight if they have to, which is what my whole basis is here. But they don't have to fight if they, that anymore. They don't have to do the continuous, endless fighting and partying. And that's where Freya rules over, and it's basically just more peaceful, more calm. And after everything I've read, that's exactly where me and Tammy want to go. It's actually where me and Tammy both believe our two cats have gone after their passing. So it'll be really great to actually see them again in this theory. And I know, as I continue this, that, this still goes to the same concept of heaven, which is, I'm not saying, that there isn't still people out there that go, well, there's no afterlife, so you're just basically believing in something that's not real. And again, I totally understand that, but like Tammy said earlier about the stories, those stories still teach her about the concept that you don't have to be perfect. There are lots of stories in the Norse mythology where it's somebody messing up and basically having to deal with the mistakes that they made.
It's a good religion to show that there are consequences to your action and that you're responsible for your how you react to it and how you handle it.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, there's a lot of that. Is there anything else you want to add? I have to clear my throat, but I'm trying not to.
not that I can think of at this moment, no.
But yeah, so I don't know if there's really much else that I really want to bring up. Because yeah, no, I guess I could tell the one story. And after telling the one story, I think that we can go from there. If you have anything else you want to add, we can go from there, and then, or if not, we'll just end the podcast.
Okay.
Oh, actually, right now on screen is Tammy's necklace. If you would like to check out that, obviously, usually this is an audio podcast, so if you want to actually see the picture, it's on screen. That's Tammy's necklace. She's got earrings, which I will be putting on screen as well. That her sister got her. I got her the necklace. I saw it at one of the places in town, one of the stores in town, and it was fairly cheap. And I was just like, I looked at it, and immediately I was just like, Tammy, like, because this is right around the time that I was actually trying to encourage her to be a Norse pagan, and after like, encouraging her, and I saw that necklace, she fell in love with it immediately. And then her sister got her the earrings for Christmas because she realizes that that's where we're going with this and that it is something that would mean a lot to Tammy. Also now on screen is Tammy's offering bowl that she's trying to make. She has to make a new one. The first one that she made, which is this one. I'm going to try getting a secondary picture and putting them together. If you're seeing two of them on screen, I succeeded. The one on the right is the offering bowl now. The one on the left is the one when she first got it going. The cats were touching it and broke it a little bit. The edges are just too thin. So Tammy's going to be trying to make a new one, which will not be done before this episode's done, but I will try to upload it at a different episode. But yeah, that's Tammy's our offering ball. It's just I keep calling it Tammy's offering ball because she's the one that made it. If you're wondering what we're offering, because of the concept that we looked into the things, and again, it's really hard to find information. The information I found is that because Freya is more of a not a bloodthirsty god, she likes more sweeter things. So the offering dish is going to be where we burn strawberry leaf. Sorry, I hesitated there for a reason, but I'll get to that. Strawberry leaf and amber resin. The amber resin part is going to be a lot harder. Tammy was looking it up, and every time she keeps finding it, it's amber resin that she keeps finding is either extremely expensive for not a lot of amber resin. And I do mean extremely expensive. I think she found it for like a small cube was like $60, I think she said. And then every time she finds bigger ones, they're like all the comments are saying that it's not actually amber resin, it's something else. Or it's like very little amber resin mixed with a bunch of other things. So Tammy has to figure out what she wants to do with that. The reason I was hesitating with saying strawberry leaf is because the thing actually said strawberry. So we were originally going to. I have dried strawberries. I don't think they're going to burn that well. So what we're also going to be doing is Tammy's going to be making another offering dish at some point that is going to be for like animals to take from, and we're just going to put that outside on Friday when she wakes up. She's just going to put that outside, and then when I get up, or when she gets home, she can just bring it back inside. And basically, animals can come and grab the dried strawberries, and then when she gets home that night, we'll go outside with the other offering dish, and we'll burn some strawberry leaf. And that is our going to be our goal, and we're going to do it on Fridays because, as far as we can also tell, the days of the week are based off of the gods, and Friday is for Freya or for Frigga, because that's also another interesting problem that the Norse religion has, is that when you are looking into it, there are, I believe I counted 6. There are 6 different languages / countries that have the Norse pagans as their original pantheon. That's Iceland. Oh, I guess Greenland too. So that's another one. But anyway, so Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and Germany. The northern parts of Germany, which are, I believe, yeah, as far as I can understand, you used to also worship them. Before it was Germany, obviously. But because of that, there's a lot of mistranslation between the 7 languages. So, and because of what happened with it all, which is the concept that when Christianity moved into the general area, a lot of like lower nobles who wanted to uprise basically convert to Christianity, so that they could get Christian soldiers to help them take the lands that they wanted. They were more interested in land than they were with the religion. They were just using the Christians, but because that one of the byproducts of this is that the Christians wanted the religion to be Christian. So a lot of like the old Norse stuff got burnt and destroyed. So the stuff that is left is like half there, half translated from older languages and stuff like that. So a lot of it is difficult to translate back, especially when like I read a book that was explaining it where in one language this sentence means that Boulder picked up a man and threw him across the room. I'm using it as an example. And another one is that the man picked Boulder up and threw him across the room. And another translation is that he hurled him across the room or pushed him across the room. It's like basically it's the concept of like just those little things. So and that can change quite a bit of what's going on in the story, especially when you know one person throws the other person. That can change dramatically of who's going on. Also, that sometimes they would change what God was actually the one involved in it at all. Like the guy was saying that like because no one knows who this name is, some people will translate it to a different person that makes more sense. And it's like just old stuff that, you know, got translated wrong. So, yeah, it's hard to keep track, like, you know, get the right information sometimes. But yeah, that's our offering. the last thing I was going to bring is actually up the story. So the story is that I answered my door and there were some Jehovah's Witnesses at the door. Now, they've come to my door a couple times before. I think the first time I just kind of was like, being polite. I'm always being polite. The second time, I was a little more, still being polite, but I was a little bit more direct. Because at this time, I wasn't actually really a Norse pagan. The first time I was like still an atheist. The second time I'm starting to get into it, not fully there. So I didn't want to start like throwing out this stuff. So I was leaving it be. The third time though, I was more into it. I had, started actually fully being engrossed in it. So when she said it, I'm like, well, actually, I'm actually a Norse pagan. So she's like, oh, well, tell me about, I don't hear that often. Tell me about it. So I started telling her about it. Was being very polite. And she was being very polite back. And at the end, she went, oh, well, let me tell you about my God. And I was like, okay, this is how, quid pro quo. I got this. And then she had already started getting a little bit aggressive near the end about the fact of like, aren't they all bloodthirsty stuff? And I was like, well, that can be, associated with anyone, like, but I was trying to like, indicate that yes, some people were bloodthirsty. Don't get me wrong, but there was bloodthirsty people throughout all of history in all religions. So she goes, okay, let me tell you about my God. His name's Jehovah. I was like, okay. Like, she goes, he goes by many other names, but we call him Jehovah. I was like, okay. I'm like, yeah, theoretically you could have him like have any name, like, Zeus or Odin. And then I'm trying like, kind of just go with the concept that, theoretically, because Jehovah, from what I understand, Jehovah's Witnesses, their God is literally the Christian God, and the Jewish God, and there's another religion that shares the exact same God. All it is it's different ways that the story is told. Is like basically, different things to follow, different things to go with. And she was like, no. Those are false gods. My God's true. And just the way that she said it pissed me off. Because the concept that at that point in time, we were having this nice discussion, but she's now telling me that my gods are fake and her gods are real. And I was like, no, hold on. All gods are fake or real. We don't know. That's why it's called faith. And it's just I guess it's the way I said it. That she was like, oh, okay, well, like, we gotta go. Kind of did, and she left, and they have never come back. But it was just the fact that it pissed me off because the concept that I never once said that your God wasn't real. All I was trying to state was the fact that if he has so many different names, what stops him from having the name of Zeus? Or having the name of Odin? Because I did have a theory once, and this was just me being me, but that all religions, all the gods were one God. That Odin was actually Kronos. Because the reason I didn't classify him as Zeus is because Odin doesn't have lightning powers. Thor does. So what happens if Thor becomes Zeus and with his brothers pushes Odin into, like, basically, I can't remember what the hell they did to Kronos. They imprisoned him to actually claim his throne because the Allfather cannot die. It's kind of one of these like weird things that he goes to Odin's sleep. He only dies at Ragnarok. So what happens if you just like instead he took over the throne, became Zeus, a different name, but still like the whole concept? Then but he's still like, then he got mad because again he is the as Thor being known as Zeus now, he is the All Father. Why are people not calling him the All Father? Why is it people like, he's the God of gods? Like worship him. Stop worshiping all these other gods. Worship him. And then he got more pissed off about that, and then we started making it so that no of the other gods were important. He was the one true God, which then goes into the Christianity thing. Now, don't get mad at me for that. I know that some people like that's huge blasphemy. It's just a thought I had at one point, and I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to bring it up there. But yeah, again, it's just me piecing things together in my ADHD brain making a story up. But yeah, I think that's all I gotta say about that. Anything you want to bring up?
Um, Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. So I will leave you guys with this one thing. I don't care what religion you guys are. You guys could be Christian, Jewish, Muslim. You could be Norse pagans. You could just be a pagan. You could be a atheist. I don't care. I really do not care. The only thing I gotta state is that be respectful to others and their religion. Don't push your religion onto them. That's not what this is all about. This has never been about trying to say that my religion is cool. It was just me and Tammy found we were atheists who found a religion. That's all it is. And I just wanted to give you guys kind of like the story about how I did it. And if you guys are interested later on, me and Tammy can go into more details about it. I just don't want this to run too long. Somewhere in one of the local stores in town, apparently they do a podcast where they talk about religions, because she's got a I don't even know what you would classify it. It's like a herb like this place where you can get like herbs and candles and stuff like that for like witch and different rituals. There we go. And she has a podcast that she suggested us come on. And when she had suggested it, my thought was like, well, I'm going to do it for my channel, which is fine. I'm still thinking about doing it, but I really have to hit home constantly that this is my personal beliefs about what I've read. I could be wrong, but this is how I'm worshiping. So that's the other thing. But yeah, I know there was a point to what I was saying with that, but I have forgotten. And yeah. So yeah, me and Tammy had been thinking about that. It's just I've always been anxious about that because even though I don't come across as it, Tammy did like a test at one point for like personality test, and apparently I'm an introvert. You would never be able to tell for how loud I am and how much I do stuff, but I know for a fact that I am, because the concept that I can do certain things, this doesn't bother me. But it's when I start having to interact with strangers, when I have to try doing stuff like that, I always like have that small tense up about I don't want to cause problems. I don't want to be a problem. I don't want to get into a fight. I don't want to cause a problem with you. And yeah, but nonetheless, you can 100% comment about your religion, your beliefs, whatever like that. Just always keep in mind, this is not a fight. This is not a argument. You can have your opinions, and I'm happy with you having your opinions, but don't try to be like, you're wrong. You're wrong. you're stupid, stuff like that, I'll just block you and ignore you. So yeah, I do hope everyone enjoyed them, and I'll see you guys next week.